Hello. Hi. Welcome to Small Things Con. I am Ashley. I am a facilitator with Wizard Activist School here at the Harry Potter Alliance. And I'm going to wait and kind of see folks trickle in for just a few minutes. So before we get into the workshop proper, I will talk a little bit about the Harry Potter Alliance if you're not familiar. And Small Things Con itself, welcome, as I said, to Small Things Con. The idea of Small Things Con is small things for big times, and we are certainly living in some big times. I know I feel that way a lot. I don't know about you. But the Harry Potter Alliance has built up some free programming, which is Small Things Con. And this programming focuses on art, activism, fandom, all the things that make the Harry Potter Alliance community what it is. This is kind of a hard, stressful time for everybody, and we want to provide some support and help everyone provide some support for each other. So that's sort of the main idea about of Small Things Con. There's been some programming going on for the past couple weeks, and be sure to check out other things as well from Small Things Con. What else? Yes, the Harry Potter Alliance, which is who we are, who is putting on Small Things Con. The Harry Potter Alliance is a global nonprofit. We promote fan activism through resources like this workshop and training, also like this workshop, and some other resources, and specifically training resources I will talk about in a moment. You can find more about the Harry Potter Alliance in general, if you're not familiar, at thehpalliance.org. So be sure to go there and check things out. Wait, I need to switch over to the other. Oh, hello, Abby, and hello, Carrie. I needed to switch over to the live comments as opposed to the private chat. Pardon me. So anyway, what was I saying? The Harry Potter Alliance. Like I said, we're a global nonprofit. If you have questions about the HP Alliance in general, you can, of course, chat them. And either I or some of the other facilitators who are working here today, you can see Carrie in the chat, will answer your questions about us. Or, of course, you can go over to the hpalliance.org. And as I said a moment ago, also, this is Small Things Con. And it's been going on for, I think, 2 weeks now, maybe a week and a half, something like that. And if you are enjoying Small Things Con, the Harry Potter Alliance really needs your help to keep doing this kind of work. And if you are interested in supporting us and you have the means to do so, you can find out how at the link down here. Do I have a pointer? No, I'll just read it to you, bit.ly/supportgranger2020. This is where our major fundraising effort is going on at the moment. So again, if you are looking for an organization to send some support to, we could really use it at the moment. So check that out if you are willing and able. Okay, let me continue on. So what are we doing here today? And who am I? I am Ashley Clayson. I'm a facilitator at the Wizard Activist School, which is put on by the Harry Potter Alliance, of course. What is Wizard Activist School? It is a set of free resources, all online, that you can learn about, you can use to learn about leadership and activism. And if you like this workshop that we're doing today, be sure to go check those out. This is the only one that's being done synchronously. We have others, or all the others are asynchronous, so you can do them at your own pace. We have a whole range of topics. Today's topic is leadership styles. We also have things like conflict resolution. What does fan activism mean? Goal setting, things like that. So you can check the Wizard Activist School out at thehpalliance.org/wizard_activist_school. Okay, and if you are here today and you participate, you can earn credit in the Wizard Activist School for passing this module. The sort of basic, I don't know, way the lessons work in Wizard Activist School is you have different modules, and you complete the module and you can pass it. And if you pass a particular set of modules, you can earn certificates, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. So, and you can earn the module, you can pass the module for participating in the workshop today. And here is how you do that. I can see that Carrie has some of the information already in the chat. So the first step is to participate. Right now I'm kind of just talking at you, but later on down the road, we will have some discussion-y questions and hopefully some discussion. We'll be sort of watching you participate and keeping track of how things go and facilitating the participation as we Wizard Activist School facilitators generally do. And once everything's over, if you will email us, training@thehpalliance.org, two things, well, maybe three things, I guess. One, your full name and the handle you are using during chat, because that's how we'll be tracking the participation. And then, of course, let us know that you want credit for doing the leadership styles workshop. So send that email to us after everything is over, and we will let you know once we have gotten everything sort of organized and how you did in the module. So, and then of course, step 3 is have fun. Hopefully you will have fun as we go along. So here we go. So, as I said, the module we will be doing today is leadership styles. And what do I mean when I say leadership styles? This module talks about how groups work together and helps us identify our own strengths as our own strengths as leaders and as group members, and helps us identify strengths in others that we may not share with them, that may complement our own. And it helps us, knowing those things helps us figure out how best we can work with each other and how we can complement each other in a group. And you may be wondering, why leadership styles? Why are we doing this particular module at this particular moment in time? If you're anything like me, and you might be if you're here, you may be feeling like you want to help out in these very difficult times that we're having right now, but you might be feeling helpless and you're not sure what you can do. Or maybe you feel like, oh, I want to do this and this and this and this and this, but that's so many things to do. And so you might be feeling a little overwhelmed. We wanted to do this module in the live workshop because it's a nice reminder that you don't have to be doing everything. Activism and mutual aid efforts are like a relay, and it's okay to, and you should, pass on the baton to someone else. And knowing your leadership styles and the leadership styles of others can help you decide what to take on and where to delegate and step back and let someone else take on a task. Briefly, we're going to start. Here's sort of how things will proceed. We'll talk a little bit about group formation and group development, and then we will kind of dive into ideas of leadership and what it means to be a leader. And then we will do my favorite part, which is quiz time, and take the leadership styles quiz and figure out our leadership styles. And then we'll talk about how the different ways that the different strengths that each type of style has, and how the different styles can work together. So without further ado, let's carry on. Okay. So how do groups develop? Groups go through stages. First, before I get into it, why are we starting here? Talking about group development is kind of just like a reminder of how groups form and why conflict happens in groups, because of course it happens because people are different. And we'll talk about how knowing yourself and knowing your own strengths and knowing other strengths can help you figure out your sort of place in a group and how you can contribute and how you can, like I said before, sort of delegate and let other people do take on tasks as well, and how you can work together using all of your different strengths. So the 5 different stages, 5, there we go, of group development, and they're nice and rhyming. Forming, which is this early stage, everyone's just getting to know each other. Members are maybe on their best behavior. Some people might call it the honeymoon stage. Everyone's getting to know each other. Then a group moves into storming, where you might run into some conflicts. That's why it's called storming. It's all stormy. And these conflicts will likely be centered around things like roles, who does what and when, who has what responsibilities, and also values and what different group members value, and trying to figure out what the group as a whole values. And based on those values and based on everyone's leadership styles and strengths, how to delegate different roles and responsibilities. And once you move into that stage, you are in the norming stage of group development, where you're starting to kind of figure out where everyone fits. If you can make it through that storming phase. Some groups don't, but if you do, you sort of start, kind of getting into a groove. And the storming and norming phases can be more like cycles as opposed to a direct linear path, where you maybe go through several phases of storming and norming as different issues and different conflicts arise, and you hopefully work through them. And then hopefully, if you pass that norming phase where you're starting to get into a groove and you really get into a groove, you are into the performing phase. And performing is not just about doing whatever your group is supposed to be doing, say you're planning an event or what have you. It's also about how that task is being achieved. Is everyone communicating smoothly? Are people doing the things that they've been assigned? And I think mostly about communication, and everyone is communicating and things are operating smoothly. And as things go along, maybe the task that your group has been charged with is over and your group is entering the adjourning phase. And this is basically where you wrap things up. It's a time for reflection and say goodbye. Not all groups hit this phase. Sometimes groups fall apart earlier in the development, but sometimes, if you're in a class or doing an event-based task, the thing happens, the semester ends, and your group adjourns. So, so as a group that you are in develops, keeping the stages in mind might help you understand what's happening within that group. If you're working through a lot of conflicts with a group, maybe you're in that storming phase and you want to really figure out, okay, what are the roles? What are people's responsibilities? What are our values? So that you can move then back toward that norming phase. And one tool to help you do that is the leadership styles. So, here we go. But before we get into each individual style, I would like to have folks think about the characters that you see before you. Specifically, what makes each of these characters leaders? What different personality traits? You can think of it in terms of their traits, or you can think of it in terms of specific actions that they took in the course of the Harry Potter story. How are these folks the same, and how are they different? And I will kind of take a back seat and see what folks are saying. Do I also get to chat? So what do people think? What are some attributes or actions that, let's say, Hermione has that makes her a leader? Oh, I don't know if you can hear my neighbor's dog over there. Sorry about that. Okay. So one thing that comes to mind for me with Hermione is she's a good researcher. From book one, yeah. Oh, uh-oh. So we're having some things in the chat here. Some folks who aren't able to use the chat. And Carrie says, Hermione is smart and determined. Yes, very smart, very determined. When she gets sort of a bee in her bonnet, as they say, she sort of doesn't let up until she achieves what she's looking for, right? Hello, Katrina. Katrina says, I like Hermione because she comes with a plan. She laid out all of her goals for SPEW and organizing plans and policy ideas before getting others involved. Yes, I love this example. Before she even came to Ron and Harry, she literally already had that box of badges and she said, okay, she was delegating roles already. You're going to be this, you're going to have this role, Harry, you're going to have this role, Ron, and here's our first task. She was ready for it. Who else? Maybe we can talk about Harry or Luna or Draco. What do other people think? Thank you, Katrina. We can. Abby says, I've cheated and I know my person, so can we do Luna? We can absolutely do Luna because I've also cheated and I know who I am, and my leadership style is also the same as Luna, and she's one of my favorite characters. So yeah, go for it, Abby. What do you think? Or anyone else who wants to chime in? How is Luna a leader? I know one thing I like about Luna. I don't know if this is as much tied to her leadership, her leadership as it is just her in general. Is send help. Is Luna's she's very. What's the word I'm looking for? She kind of doesn't care much what other people think, but not in a bad way, more in a way of her being expressive of herself. People sort of think she's weird for wearing nope, not Gertie root, the plums? It's the plums in her ears, right? Oh no, I'm so ashamed that I don't know. And her butterbeer cork necklace, but she does it anyway. She doesn't care what they think, so she's not afraid to be different in a leadership style, in a leadership setting. Carrie also says Luna's loyal and smart and thinks outside the box and empathetic. Dirigible plums, that's it. They drink the Gertie root infusion at yeah, I don't know how to spell it either. Carrie says however it is spelled. Katrina. So Katrina says, in book 7, when she was trapped, she was the first to approach people in the Malfoy's basement and work to make everyone as comfortable and safe as possible in this situation. Yeah, so that builds on what Carrie was saying about her being empathetic. She's sensitive to other people's feelings and needs. Okay, and here Carrie is also telling us, just now joining the chat, about how to officially complete the module, because in Wizard Activist School, which this workshop is a part of, you do get credit for participating and for completing modules. So yeah, so the more you chat and the more we discuss, the the better it is for completing the modules. So yeah, I think we've talked a little bit about Hermione. We've talked a little bit about Luna, and the examples that everyone brought up were great because it shows how they are different. Hermione is very driven. She plans, she does a lot of research, and she comes to a group with a plan. Whereas Luna is more about sort of being receptive to other people's emotions and feelings and seeing what they need in the moment. And those are both very valuable skills, but they are different. And sort of the point of this leadership styles workshop is that different people lead differently, and knowing your strengths as a leader will help you know where to step up and then where to pass on a task or where to delegate a task to let someone else use their strengths. So let us carry on. And now we come to my favorite part, which is learning what your own leadership style is. Excuse me. If you have already done the leadership styles quiz, bear with us. For those who have not completed it yet, you can follow the bit.ly URLs here. The actual quiz, which is what you will need to take in order to figure out what your style is. And I'll show you an example of it in a moment. Let's see. So that's the first one. In the first one on the slide, sorry, bit.ly/2 capital R lowercase BIYY capital W. There is, can we also get someone to plop those in the chat as well? That'll be better than me reading them out loud. Then there's also an accessible version that I think is better for screen readers. And so that is the second link. And then which is, I'll go ahead and read that one as well, bit.ly/3 lowercase b uppercase W uppercase L uppercase M and then lowercase t and j. And then the colors descriptions are at the third link as well, but I'll also be going over those once everyone's done. Yeah, Carrie says, don't look at the color descriptions first, please. So just do the quiz first, because that could potentially, color, pun intended, your perception of what you think your style will be. So if everyone will take a little bit of time to go and complete the quiz or assessment, if you don't like the word quiz because it makes you think of school. Quiz to me also makes me think of the sort of personality quizzes that you get on like BuzzFeed or many years ago in the back of teen magazines. Okay, so I'm going to switch my screen share. So stopping the screen share and switching it over to something else. So I can sort of walk you through, activity is good. Carrie says, call it an activity. I like that better than quiz. Okay, so I'm gonna show you the activity and sort of walk you through the very first one. So here we go, your leadership style. The instructions are to compare each box of descriptive words. Whoops, no, I'm not, am I sharing? Can you see me? Okay, someone let me know. Someone let me know if you can see the PDF on the screen or if it's just my face, because I'm supposed to be screen sharing, but the display that I'm looking at looks different. Maybe it's just PowerPoints look different. Are we good? Not sharing. Okay, well, I will stop sharing and then try it again. Let's see, share screen. Maybe I'll just share my whole entire screen and that'll look really weird for a second and then it'll get better. Okay, yeah, so I'll try that. Maybe, I don't know why I didn't want to do it the first. Okay, so you can all, aha, yes, looking really weird for a moment. And now, here is the leadership style activity, not quiz. So the instructions are up here at the top. Compare each box of descriptive words across each row. So here we have row 1 up at the top. And for each box, rank that set of words from 1 to 4, where 4 is the set of words that describes you the most, and 1 describes you the least. And so here I'll walk you through my first row. So I think that box C, warm, helpful friends, authentic, harmonious, and compassionate, describes me the most. So I assign that 4 points. And then I think that the D box, learning, science, quiet, versatile, inventive, and competent, applies to me the second most. So I assign that 3 points. And then the next one would be organized, planned, neat, parental, traditional, and responsible. So I give that 2 points. That's box B. And then the one that describes me the least is active, variety, sports, opportunities, spontaneous, and flexible, which is box A. And then you do that for every row of every row of boxes of words. And then at the very bottom, you can see that you will add up the scores for each set of boxes. So boxes A, you'll add the scores for boxes A, H, K, N, and S, C, F, J, O, and R, and so on and so forth. Now I'm going to pop back over here and stop screen sharing and check in with the chat. Ooh, yes, let's stop sharing my screen now. Aha, okay. Now, actually, I'm going to share this screen again. Chrome tab. Okay. Maybe it's not doing it again. Oh no. Are we back to, again, just my face? Let's try it again. Okay, share screen. Maybe, no, not application window. Chrome tab, try again. Let's see. Oh no, nope, still not sharing. Okay, everyone, oh no, there it goes. I just had to wait. Patience. Sometimes patience is not one of my leadership strengths. My apologies. Okay, so I'd like to have folks check in. Are you still working through? I know it will take a few moments, but as you finish, or if you've already finished, please do pop up in the chat and let me know so that I can give everyone sufficient time to actually complete the activity, and then we can move on. Thank you, Abby. I appreciate that. So in the meantime, let me actually move here. That may help with the score. Oh no, wait, I'll wait on that because it spoils some things. Okay, Katrina is adding up scores now. Excellent. And it is a good idea to move through reading the boxes. Don't take too long to deliberate and really think and toss and turn about it. It really is supposed to be like this is my first impression. Yes, this really defines me or is me, or no, this is very much not me. A word or two in this box has me saying, ooh, nah. So, and then give that one the 1 versus a couple words in the box tell me, yeah, Carrie says, go with your gut or your heart, whichever of those metaphors you like, but not brain. Don't overthink it is the goal here. So yeah, I guess maybe in this instance, I think the person who might overthink it the most might be Hermione. Don't overthink it. Don't be Hermione deliberating all of the different careers, but while they're trying to decide which elective subjects to take. What is that at the end of, I think, book 2? Yeah. Yeah. So then the next couple of, once everyone's sort of finished taking the quiz, we'll talk about what each of the styles, sort of how they describe the different styles of leadership. And we'll talk through which of the people we were talking about earlier, Harry, Hermione, Luna, and Draco, which of the styles applies to which of those folks. And then we'll talk about how those styles can work together. Because again, that's a big takeaway of this module is the ability to work with other folks that may be the same or maybe different from you. Yeah, so Carrie says, let us know when you're done and what color you got. Yeah, so let us know. Tell us, and I will tell you all my colors, because I had two that were actually very close. One came out on top, of course, but the other one was a very close second. So I'll let you know that as well. I almost knocked over my water. I think for me, the most tedious part of the activity is sort of adding up all of the different boxes, because keeping track of them, making the decision about which one I was pretty easy, but then sort of finding, oh, where is everything? That was more tedious. So take your time, but do let us know when you've got your score. And other facilitators, were we able to get Brian into the chat? Oh, also I have, oh, okay. Now, let me see. Is my screen share still working? I saw an old private chat saying it had disappeared, but I think it's back. It looks, on my screen, it looks like it's back. Okay, cool. So Brian's being taken care of. Awesome. So, oh, let's see. Okay, screen share is good. And let's see, where did the question that was just asked go? Abby asks, do you think secondaries and tertiaries are just as important as your main leadership style? For me, I very much thought that the secondary leadership style was for sure really important, just because my scores were pretty close and I pretty strongly identified with some of the I guess, traits in each of the, in both of the two types of styles. And knowing those styles made me think about, okay, how would I sort of utilize my this set of styles versus this set of styles in a general scenario. But I do also think that, and then with the sort of the bottom two that I was least like, at first I sort of was like, oh, those don't matter. But they do. In that it helps me identify things that are not my strengths and can help me identify, again, okay, so this isn't a strength that I have, but it's a strength that I know my friend Abby or my friend Carrie has. And so then, if there's a task that I'm struggling with, then I can, and it's something that, yeah, Carrie says, knowing the one you are least can be helpful as well. So that's you identifying things that you can turn to others for help with. So yeah, let's see. Okay, Katrina says, I got a 20 with one of the sections, so I guess I'm aggressively one thing, not sure which color. We will get to that as in a moment. Let's see, is that everyone? Oh, Daniela. Let's see, I'm having a little bit of a hard time keeping track of everyone in chat. Carrie, do you know if oh, okay, Brian's ready. Daniela is a little behind. Okay, well, we will hang on a moment and give you a little bit of extra time. Let's see. The next thing. I will. So the idea, I like Katrina bringing up the idea of being sort of very aggressively one thing, very strongly identifying with a particular set of traits. That can be really, really powerful to know, and feeling very strongly in one set of things can help you, again, sort of know, yes, this is where I really excel. And if you see a need in that area that needs to be filled, it can help you say, yes, this is a job for me, and you can jump up and take on some of those responsibilities. And then if you see, oh, okay, these are not necessarily the places where I shine, you can identify, other people that that have strengths that are different from yours and figure out where to, again, pass on tasks. I think what we'll do now is go ahead and sort of reveal the different, like what the actual colors are, just so that we can have that, and let Daniela catch up. So if you scored mostly, if your highest score was in the AHKNS group, you are an orange leader. If your highest score was in the CFJO or R arena, you are a blue leader. And if your highest score was in the D, E, L, P, and Q range, you were a green leader. And if your highest score was B, G, I, M, T, you are a gold leader. So what I'd like to hear now, before we move on to hearing what exactly those mean, go ahead and so let us know in the chat. What's your color? Green. So Katrina says, I'm green. My highest one was blue, and with green being a very, very close second. And then orange and gold were not so much for me. Daniela's blue. What about Carrie? Do you have a report from Brian? Carrie's blue. Oh, and Abby. I think I know which one Abby is, because you said it's the same as Luna, which is the same as me, which is blue, and Brian is also blue. We are a preponderance of blues in the stream here, with a little bit of green. Okay, Abby, I go blue, gold, orange, and green. Oh, that's really interesting, because I think I go blue, green, gold, orange, but gold and orange might have fought for last place. I can't remember which ones were the last two, because they both feel so sort of far out of my realm of like, oh yes, I identify with these traits. So now that we've got everyone sort of situated, let's go see what the heck all this means. So if you are an orange leader, orange leaders are very active, free, and spontaneous. They can be impulsive and risk takers. They're optimistic, competitive, bring excitement to society. They like to be the center of attention, thrive on crises. They like to have variety, and they're drawn to action jobs, things that are very active. Orange leaders are generous and bold in relationships. They might like take a first step. They're dynamic and animated communicators. They deal with the here and now and can resist commitment. They can have difficulty finding acceptance, but that can mean becoming virtuosos. You can become a virtuoso. I don't know what the adjective would be there. They like to be casual, and they're drawn to tools, and Harry Potter is a classic example of an orange leader. Katrina says, blue and gold are tied for second place for me. Okay, really cool. Carrie says, I'm blue, green, gold, and then orange. That's really cool. So Harry Potter is orange, and we can see a lot of, the risk-taking sounds very much like Harry. Resisting commitments is interesting because he was very committed to Quidditch. But, not everything might sort of, I guess, resound is the word that's in my head. Not everything might apply as strongly as all the other descriptors. Daniela says, orange is unsurprisingly last for me. Yeah, I think this one is last for me as well, because I'm so risk averse. I like to play it on the safe side in many ways. And Carrie says, virtuoso, a person highly skilled in music or another artistic pursuit. So you work really, really, really hard at one thing and become really, really, really good at it. So in that sense, that makes sense for Harry with Quidditch, because he was naturally talented, but also, he practiced really hard and wanted to get very good. So let's carry on to green. I think we had Katrina was green, and I know a lot of us are sort of blue with green secondary. That's me. Green leaders are innovative, logical, and curious. They bring innovation to society and focus on the future. They seek to understand the world and have a need to be competent and always push themselves to improve. Green leaders require intellectual freedom and may become intellectually isolated. They question authority, and they like to analyze and rearrange systems. They believe work is play, so you have fun doing your work. They can be slow to make decisions and value concise communication, getting right to the point. They look for intellectual stimulation and enjoy intriguing discussions. And they can be attached and sometimes oblivious to emotions. And a green leader is Hermione Granger. So, and again, you can kind of see some of the traits really coming out from Hermione. Is she's always she's really logical. She's very analytical. She questions authority. At least in book 5, she questions authority, right? And I guess in book 2, when she says, oh, okay, somebody's got to make some Polyjuice potion, even though up until that point, she'd always been like a strict rule follower, when it came time to do something, she said, no, I'm going to, break the rules here. So let's see. If you have some green traits, I'd love to see in the chat, sort of let us know which of these are standing out to you as things that you're like, oh yes, that's totally me. And on the other side, on the flip side, maybe some that might sound like, oh, that's not quite as much me. Because I think, for example, with Hermione, sometimes oblivious to emotions, she was always sort of the most keyed into emotions of the trio, right? So she did okay there. Okay. And then let's go on to blue. Dubba-dee-dubba-die. If you are a blue leader, which again, that's me, you are in search of yourselves and want to be true to yourself and want to feel unique. Blue leaders look for symbolism and may be drawn to literature. Abby says, when I do things like these, I'm like, oh yeah, I do that about everything. I guess I'm just very empathetic. Here's me being also empathetic. I feel that way sometimes too, even in some of the gold and orange traits. There are some that I feel very strongly, oh no, that is not me. Like the risk aversion, like not taking risk, like a gold orange leader would do. But other things I'm like, yeah, no, I do that. I do that also. Anyway, blue is blue leaders value really close relationships and really want to have really quality time with people they care about. They encourage expression, I think both in themselves and in others, and they need opportunities to be creative. They value compromise and cooperation and can look sort of beyond the surface of a situation to make that happen. Blue leaders like to nurture people, plants, and animals and are drawn to nurturing careers. Blue leaders also will share emotions and make decisions based on feelings. Blue leaders need harmony and want to bring unity to society, and in service of that can be very adaptable. Blue leaders also get involved in causes and are committed to ideals. And again, Luna is a very blue leader. Let's see, Carrie says, drawn to literature, complete and total bookworm. I've heard it both ways. Yeah, totally. And Lisa says, oh my God, blue is me, 100%. I do identify a lot with a lot of green as well. And that's me also. Some things I identify with in blue are the needing harmony. Just as I'm risk averse, I'm also very conflict averse. I don't like it when people fight, which, sometimes conflicts happen and you have to know how to deal with them. And that is not a strength. that I have. So in those times, that's when I can turn to other folks to help me out as a leader. Okay, and so we've got some new folks coming in. So Carrie's letting people know how to get credit for participating in the workshop in our Wizard Activist School. Let's see, let's move on to the last one, which is goal leaders. Every time I say one of these, I think of Star Wars: red leader, gold leader, orange leader, blue leader. Gold leaders are dutiful and stable. They're very scheduled and they like punctuality and they keep commitments. Gold leaders are goal-oriented and measure worth by completion. They want to be self-sufficient, responsible, and dedicated, or they are responsible and dedicated. They want to feel useful and they're drawn to respected occupations and they enjoy positions of authority. They value organization and are inclined to join groups. For gold leaders, they value rules and safeguard tradition. They also like to prepare for the future. So that's sort of a thing that they, I think, have in common with green leaders. Green folks often were future oriented as well. Gold leaders think work comes before play, not work becomes play. And they also desire structure, they prefer order and cleanliness, and they like to bring stability to society. Percy Weasley is a good example of a gold leader, but I also think Draco Malfoy is probably a good example of a gold leader as well. Thank you for acknowledging the Star Wars. Katrina says, I'm a lot of these things, but I'm also always late, right? That's the funny thing for gold about me is that I'm goal oriented and I can be organized and I can schedule things. And I like it when other people are punctual, she said sheepishly. But how much I am punctual is very dependent on the circumstances. Even though I can be goal-oriented and scheduled, it's not always my biggest strength, right? So that's where you can have strengths in the other groups as well, and you can have things that you're decent at or you're good at, but the leadership styles is sort of what tells you sort of where your clusters of your strengths are, and where sort of your strongest strengths are, I suppose. So now that we've got all four styles, just to sort of recap the different styles. We've got Hermione, who is green leader. She's analytic and innovative. Harry is orange. He's adaptive and dynamic. Luna is blue. She's passionate, creative, and compassionate, I think, empathetic also. And then gold leaders are structured and organized. And again, that fits with probably either Draco or Percy. Let me catch up with some chat here. Carrie says, after getting a degree in stage management, I've turned into one of those, if I'm not early, I consider myself late people. But before that, late for all the things. I feel the reverse for that for me. When I was in high school, I was in marching band, and our band director always said, what was it? Early is on time is late, and late is something I don't even remember. You get left by the bus or something, I don't remember. But yeah, so that was very, I was on time then. And then, later in life, I am a little bit more lax. Lisa says, this is a much more positive description of Percy than we normally see. Yeah, because, Percy has some things that he struggles with because of his strengths, right? So the flip side of all these strengths is that, there are flip sides of the strengths. So while Percy values authority, that also means that when the authority is going in the, not great direction, then he can easily follow that. And it's much harder for him to break away from that. But then he does in the end. So Katrina says, I think gold leaders believe in systems that we've built and want to contribute to it to make things better, which does fit Percy. Absolutely. I love that description. So they have faith in the systems and they're trying to work within the system to make things better. Absolutely. Abby says, unacceptable or dead is what my band director said. Yeah, that sounds about right in terms of punctuality, for sure. I think it was late as unacceptable. And Carrie also says, in terms of gold leaders, yes, and I think sometimes gold leaders can get a bad rap, but they are really very valuable types of leaders. Absolutely. Each group, again, each type of leader has strengths, and we call them strengths because they are strengths and because they are values. And the different strengths are needed in different situations. And that brings me to, so how do these leaders, how can we all work together now that we know what our strengths are, and we can try and identify what other people's strengths are? Because sort of once you know what the groupings are, it can be really easy to like put the people you know or other fictional characters into green, orange, blue, gold. Like if you're into My Little Pony, Twilight Sparkle is probably a green, and Rainbow Dash is probably an orange, Fluttershy is probably a blue. Oh, who's a gold? We have any My Little Pony fans that can finish that out? Or if you can think of other folks to fit into these in these categories, let us know in the chat. I always really enjoy doing that. So then how do we work together? Here are some ways that we can sort of think about other people's strengths and what they need in terms of leadership, and how we can support each other. So when working with orange leaders, maybe don't, Applejack could be called, Katrina says Applejack could be called. I think I like that. She's a farmer, and so there's a lot of structured work that goes on at a farm and things like that. I like that, Katrina, thanks. So if you're working with an orange leader, you might not expect a lot of structure, but when it counts, they'll get stuff done. It might be the night before, but it'll get done. And you can put them in charge of the most hands-on tasks and make sure to give them time to socialize, because that's really where they shine. Orange leaders will also be really good at taking charge in stressful situations and can be very adaptive and can change to the new circumstances as they are changing. So that's that's a great place to sort of, again, delegate tasks to them. If you're working with a green leader, you can expect questions. They don't necessarily want to be working on something and kind of giving it their all until they know it's this particular path is the best possible option. So be prepared to explain why you're doing what you're doing and let them have the space to then analyze and think it through for themselves. You probably won't need to walk them through every step of a task. You can sort of say, here you go, and they'll figure it out for themselves. And they really shine at understanding details. When working with blue leaders, you want to make sure that you're recognizing their individual contributions and viewpoints. They're very passionate and creative, but they want it to be about something they actually care about, because they value genuineness, and they don't like things that don't feel genuine, right? So if you're working with them, be honest and give them meaningful tasks where they will find meaning. Blue leaders also are really good at communicating the importance of an issue, because if they care about something, then they know why it's important to them. So they'll be good at communicating that. And they're also, they're also really good at forging connections between people. I think that's where that empathy comes in. If you're working with a gold leader, give them a structure to work in. Be prepared to give specifics, dates, deadlines, things like that. And don't be surprised if they actually do question the value of something that a group is doing, because it's not because they're trying to sort of be a downer or I guess put negative vibes out into something the group is doing. They just want to make sure that the things that the group is doing aligns with the group's mission and goals and values. So they're going to bring that questioning eye to make sure that a task will fit with the group and sort of the group will have integrity. Gold leaders also shine at planning and executing tasks efficiently. supporting group traditions, and remembering, again, that mission and values of the group. Okay, so now that you know those, when you are working with a group, you can hopefully better figure out, okay, these are your strengths. Here's how we can divvy up these roles and responsibilities. Thinking back to the what was it? The forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning, or adjourning. Working through that storming into the norming phase, right? So if your conflicts are over roles, then, okay, think through what are your strengths, what are your group member strengths, and how can we divvy up these responsibilities, and how can we communicate about roles and responsibilities in a way that will best serve all of our strengths. So let's see, coming onto here, we're going to have some more discussion now, with specifically guided by a couple of questions. So the first one being, and if we've already sort of been talking about this, but feel free to kind of continue this discussion. Do you feel that the description fits you? Why or why not? Let's see, Lisa is adding, it seems like Gold is good at cutting the fat in terms of extraneous tasks. I love that description, yeah. So kind of getting to the point. So why are we doing this thing? Does it fit with what we're all about? Yeah, I like that. So let's see, do you feel that your particular, your style, both the primary and if you had a secondary or secondary style, do you feel that the description fits you? Why or why not? And another question, I'm going to kind of throw all the questions out there and we can just sort of discuss as things go along. How might you approach challenges differently now that you know what your strengths are? And how might you play to your own and others' strengths? So. So take a couple minutes to think through and type through some of the questions. Katrina says, I know green fits me because I've always sought tasks that fit this strength of mine. And when I am a leader in a group, I use blue to understand the people to better manage them. Yeah, I like that. So relying on different strengths from the different styles in different situations. So I like that you say you're seeking out tasks that fit the green description. Yeah, so that's, you know this very strongly about yourself. And so that's where those are the opportunities that you seek out. That's really great. Carrie says, just posted this in Discord. I, as a blue leader, could use some of the structure and organization a gold leader would bring to the table. Yeah, I identify with that a lot. I think my issue with organization, when it comes to me by myself, I can be very organized and very structured, but in a group, because I'm such a people pleaser, I can often fall back into the trap of wanting to agree with everyone, even when people are disagreeing with each other. And so that's where someone who is maybe more direct or more analytic, like a green leader, or more structured, like a gold leader, can then really shine in that scenario and sort of help make distinctions and things like that. Katrina adds, I always worked as a field organizer, and that involved a lot of orange leader skills, and I was bad at it and decided not to do it ever again. There you go, right? Knowing your strength helps you know what tasks you want to take on, because if you're in a role that isn't as good of a fit, it can be very, very stressful, more stressful than can be productive, right? Let's see. Oh, moving very fast. Blue, Lisa says, blue is me because I cannot abide doing something I don't care about or find meaningful. I'm very empathetic and hate conflict. I feel you there. Although I have a fiery temper, I feel you there too. And I find symbolism everywhere. I like that. Katrina adds, and Carrie, a gold leader needs you to help them communicate and make their goals clear to everyone. Yeah, I love that. Daniela adds, I feel that the blue description fits me pretty well. I value close relationships and I like compromise and cooperation. And Lisa adds, I'm a proud bookworm. And Daniela also chimes in, I love books. I too love books as well. I think a lot of us in the chat really do. After all, we are at excuse me, we were at a workshop put on by the Harry Potter Alliance, so which is a book. Anyway, yeah, so we've been really focusing on how might you play to your own and other strengths. Does anyone have any thoughts about how you might approach challenges differently? Katrina mentioned one as well, but I'd like to hear from other folks as well. How might you can give a specific example or a hypothetical example if you prefer. Let's see, I'll try to think of something as well for me. When I was in college, I did a lot of things. I was very involved in like a lot of extracurricular activities, and in several of those, I eventually took on leadership positions that felt very orange leadery, and very, very out front and being sort of very extroverty, I guess, and being in front of people and taking charge. And I did okay at them. But it was definitely when I was in those positions, my strengths again were sort of checking in with people, not quite as much the being more direct and things like that. So now that I know that those are my strengths in the blue category, I like being more in a more supportive role. And if someone says, I'm more likely to wait for a task to be sort of two different ways. Either wait for a specific task to be assigned to me and then to work on it, or I like to do a lot of brainstorming and I have a lot of ideas, but then being more precise about how to put those ideas into action, I often get slightly less. I'm not quite as strong at that. I have a lot of ideas, but then need help from the other types of leaders to figure out a path to put them into action. Okay. Katrina says, I worked with this Gryffindor who was incredibly social, cool, and personable, and an orange leader. He did most of our networking events in exchange for me doing the background work to build systems. That's brilliant. I love that. I think the houses fit pretty strongly onto these as well. Like we could have used house descriptions. I think, so orange is very Gryffindor. Green is very Ravenclaw, blue is very Hufflepuff, and gold is very Slytherin. So I like that you pointed out that similarity. Okay, we are going kind of into an hour. So if I don't know how long folks planned to be here, so we'll go for a little bit longer. I have sort of two more quick things that we can talk about. Let's see, Lisa says, I like getting everyone's input, then collectively coming up with a plan that works for everyone. Yes, I love that. That also feels very blue, very, very being in tune with what each individual person wants and trying to cooperate and reach a true compromise in whatever the task is. So let's move on to a very quick little scenario that I have. How might leaders of different types work together in a crisis? So here's the scenario. A roguishly handsome but fairly incompetent Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher has just unleashed a cage of Cornish pixies onto the class without a proper plan to control them. How might you use your particular strengths to help out during the ensuing chaos? Moreover, how would you work with leaders of other types to get things under control? I wanted to kind of have like a sort of a fun scenario before we bring it back around to real world scenario stuff. So if you get thrown into a class that where your professors opened up a cage of Cornish pixies, what are you going to do? And thank you, Carrie. Carrie says, I love this scenario. Abby says, I think I'd spend a lot of time trying to calm everyone down. Yeah, that sounds very blue. Carrie says, I would probably use an orange leader to take charge, right? Have an orange leader use their energy and probably the ability to project their voice to sort of give orders. And again, orange leaders are very good in a crisis, and this is nothing if not a classroom crisis, right? Katrina says, all right, Abby and I are teaming up. Yeah. Let's see. And Carrie says, and a gold leader to get everyone out in an orderly fashion, right? So station Percy at the door to say, okay, you next, make sure everyone is coming through in an orderly fashion. I feel like for me, I would probably sort of try and look around and see where everyone is and what everyone's doing. Lisa says, I would find out what we know about Cornish pixies, what are my classmates good at, charms, transfiguration, and then team up with the results, create a team, right? And assign everyone tasks based on their strengths. I love that. That's the whole point of the workshop, right? Figuring out what people are good at and then letting them do what they're good at, right? And working with them. Carrie says, a green leader to figure out how to stop the pixies, right? It's eventually Hermione that stands up and does the spell. Abby says, here's something I say a lot in teaching. It's cool. Everything's chill. We're fine. We're chill. Everything's fine. It's cool. I like that. Katrina also adds, we need to make sure no pixies get out of the classroom because otherwise we have a much larger problem. Yes, exactly. So you'll want to think through a good solution for that, which might take some innovation, which is a very green leader trait. That's the word. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, so bringing it back around to the Muggle world, I'm going to start to wrap things up now. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a bit more of a practical scenario that relates to our current situation and a few words of encouragement. So, I am a blue leader after all. As I mentioned at the top of the workshop, that the reason we picked this one was because it can feel really easy in the current situation to feel, I want to help, but it feels like it's just too much. And I want to sort of remind everyone, as Neville said, we're all in this together. You don't have to do everything by yourself. And again, the point being, Lisa says, speaking of Neville, someone help Neville. Make sure someone delegate, make sure someone is getting Neville down from the chandelier on the ceiling, right? With the Cornish pixies. So, and as Neville says, we're all in this together, and we're all here to help. And so, I'd like to do not really two things, but give you an option. If you'd like to stay and hang around in the chat for a couple minutes to talk about the next scenario, you can. But if you want to stay out of the real world and came for more of an escape from everything that's going on right now, feel free to peace out. As long as you don't forget to email training@thehpalliance.org with your full name and chat handle so that we can give you proper credit for participating. Yeah, Carrie says, pass that baton. Exactly. That's what we're all in this together means. Pass that baton to another person whose strengths may be in need at the moment. And don't feel like you have to do it all by yourself, because we're all in this together. So the scenario is, the sort of practical scenario that we can talk about now, if you would like, is to think about, hey, we're in a bit of a crisis at the moment, and how can we use each of our strengths to make a difference and to help out, if that's a thing that you feel willing and able to do at the moment. And again, it's okay if it's not, right? Because again, we're all in this together. Yeah, so let me check my notes to make sure I didn't leave anything out. Oh, another thing that I didn't put in my notes, and maybe Carrie can help me out with this, is that one thing with Wizard Activist School, when you complete modules, there are different sets of modules that that when you pass the set, you get a certificate. And I forgot to include in the slideshow which certificates this module applies to, but I know it does apply to a couple of certificates. Carrie, if you know off the top of your head and can put that in the chat, that's awesome. If not, I can also look it up because I am literally on my computer. So yeah. And if folks want to hang around and chat some more, let me know. Otherwise, feel free to say goodbye and peace out for the evening. And if you do that, thank you so much for attending and for being here. It has been a complete delight chatting with all of you and sort of getting to know you a little bit and sharing the module with you. So thanks for being here. And in the meantime, while folks are thinking and typing, I will look for the certifications real quick. Just make sure this is. Yes. Okay. So Carrie's Wi-Fi is not cooperating. So I will instead do this. I just want to make sure that what I'm going to do is stop sharing my screen because I don't want to accidentally show you all my email. Okay. So here we go. I will look it up momentarily. Oops. Not this email. Oh, and the other thing I can say is that I don't know if y'all can hear that, but there's a very angry dog outside in the sort of backyard area. Okay, so here we go. Let me do certificates. Aha! Oh, Abby found it. So here are some certificate information. The different certificates. The dog is telling someone who's outside to go home. Actually, I live in an area where there's a lot of like there are a bunch of different sort of individual, kind of like townhouse apartments that are all connected, and then we all sort of make a ring. The backyards make a ring, so it's in somebody's backyard. So they're probably telling them to stay inside, stay inside. Okay, so here's some information about the certificates if you're interested. And again, you can also go back to, let me actually reshare since Abby is sharing this information. Let me reshare my screen and go back to the place where you can find Wizard Activist School. Here we go. So you can, of course, check this out once it shows up on the screen. And I'm remembering to be patient this time, which is not always a strength. But it's the HP Alliance /wizard_activist_school. And here are I'm going to talk through some of the certificates. New Wizard Activist Certificate, the Visionary Certificate, the Communications Certificate, the Event Planner Certificate, the Group Leadership Certificate, the Social Justice Certificate. Let me see. And the Leadership Styles is definitely in the Group Leadership Certificate, which makes sense. Let's see. Is it in another one? I don't see it anywhere else, but it is in the Group Leadership Certificate. So if you, here's my slideshow. So again, here's the URL for the Wizard Activist School. If you're interested, you've already completed the Leadership Styles module. All you need to achieve the Group Leadership Certificate is how to run a meeting, member engagement, conflict resolution, and empowerment. So that's 4 more modules. And typically how the modules work is it's all done through Google Forms. You go through, you get some information either in text or, yes, there we go. a link in the chat. You get some information either through video or through text. And then you answer some questions, and then you submit the form, and you'll be assigned a facilitator like myself. And the facilitator will essentially give you some feedback on the module. They may ask for some changes or some revisions because we want to make sure that you have a command of the knowledge that you're learning. And then once they have determined that you've responded to the module in a way that sort of demonstrates like, yeah, you know what you're talking about. You've learned the main point of the module, then they'll say, hey, you've passed. And if you pass, again, the set of modules, then you get a certificate. And it is an actual certificate. You do get emailed a little certificate that you can display. So I think I'm going to wrap it up though with that. That suggestion to go check out Wizard Activist School, and then the other suggestion let me come back over here if you enjoyed the workshop and you'd like to support the Harry Potter Alliance, we do need your support, so you can go to bit.ly/supportgranger2020 and find out more about how to support us. So, but otherwise, I think I will say thank you so much for attending, and I hope to see you in Wizard Activist School. Have a great rest of your day.